Hi, today I will be demonstrating how an MEP contracting company can effectively manage its complete operations using Odoo. An MEP company typically handles complex project-based work, including electrical installations, plumbing systems, and HVAC solutions. These projects require strong coordination between all the departments such as the sales, procurement, inventory, project execution, and accounting. With Odoo, we can integrate all these processes into single unified process. We'll review how it will work under the single unified platform, ensuring better contract visibility and efficiency. We have already homepage where we can see all the top level apps. Here, if you receive any inquiry from the customer or from the company related to the tender or bid, in this case, how you will manage in the Odoo. Let's take the example of CRM leads. If you have the inquiry received here from the Vertex company, in this Vertex company, we can take the example of they require the industrial compressed air setup. We add all the other details related to the contact details, email, phone number, and salesperson who is handling the lead. We will create the project if it require to creation of the project on the lead level. If it is not required, you can also skip creating the project on the lead level. You can enter all the notes, contacts as well. We create the sales estimation in the system where directly from the lead your salesperson can create the estimation based on the requirement of the customer. Here we already added all the estimation lines. From these estimation lines we already created on the top create sales estimate. Once you click on the create sales estimate, estimation will be created here. Same like you create the estimation, you can send via the email. Internally you can send for the approval as well as you can send it to the customer. So this one of the flow is available. If you require to create the estimation from the sales level from the lead, so it is already available. Once the customer is agreed, this estimation will convert to the quotation and then it will create the sales order and then you can issue the invoice from the system. Well, we have the tender module. If your work is related to the tender, you create the tender or you are applying for the bidding. So in this case, you can create in the system the bid related things. Here we have the tender agency, tender type, we have the work category. You can create the work category, tender notification date, expiry date, proposed cost of the buyer, as well as the bid type, bidder name will be available, bid submission date, bidder estimate amount, earnest money deposit if is the guarantee amount. Now we can add the tender details, documents related to the tenders, location details, other informations will be available here. If this lead will be go to the in progress stage, then you can also create the project. If it require on the bid level to create the projects and then create the estimation, so both options are available. You can create the bid in the system and then you can create the estimation. You can create the project. All will be available. You can also create the project on the bidding level and then you can start estimation for the particular project in the system. As well, we have also available the BOQ module. So once you create the tender and you generate the estimation, if you don't want to create the estimation, you just create the BOQ under the jobs. The option is there, project BOQ. You can create the project BOQ, which will be creating the BOQ. In this BOQ, you can add all the job types material, labor and overhead. There is the differentiate already there. If it is material, you can list out all the materials which is required to fulfill the customer requirement. Here you have the plant quantity, plant cost, and then you can see the total cost price related to the material. You can also add the labor. Under the three heads, you can enter all your project details. We have the labors and then overheads. Now here down there is the summary of all these three category: material cost, labor cost and overhead cost. The BOQ template is available under the configuration, where you can create the template. As soon as you select the template, it will be available all the lines based on the template. Like here we have the plumbing system, mechanical system, so your BOQ templates already available ready-made solution. You can just enter the quantity and then the amount if it is different. You can also create multiple lines if it is not related to the template, and then you can keep the existing lines and add the additional line from the template. If there is any revision during the BOQ creation, so you can create the revision from the top. We have the button available, create revision. Here you can send this by email to the customer, as well as you can use this as a internal approval. You can send it to the CEO or you can send to the responsible department for the approval. It will be also attach the PDF of the BOQ. If you have any requirement to create the estimation or quotation from the BOQ, you can create from the BOQ itself. And you can also create the job cost sheets from the BOQ. These job cost sheets is basically useful for comparing your planned quantity versus your actual quantity. Here you can review it very nicely. Project, analytic account, job order, all are linked over here. Job order is your execution of the project. Now here we can review it. We have also the three tabs available: material, labor and overhead. Here we can review all the products are visible here. The planned quantity is there, and now here if the work is based on subcontractor quantity, then actual will come from the subcontractor job order. If it is based on the actual purchases, from the purchase order, so all actual purchase order quantity will be visible over here. We have the vendor bill. If any of the purchases is done and we receive the vendor bill from the vendor, it is booked in the system, it will be visible here. Or some purchases we created but still not receive the vendor bill. In this case it will be 0. So we can map over here. Now here we have material related to manufacture or production. So in this case it will show us the actual manufacturing quantity. And here manual invoice. If you create the invoice from directly job cost sheet, it will be also available manual invoice. Here you can see is billable. All are is billable. Like when we create the invoice from the top, here it will become over here. If you require to create the material lines, the separate invoice will be generated other than the sales order options. Now here we have already the job cost sheet is generated. Based on this job cost sheets, labor, material and overhead, we can review the already summary is available over here. And on the top, if related to this job cost sheet any purchase order is issued or timesheet is filled, it will be linked on the top via the smart button. BOQ, from BOQ we can create the quotation. Here we already created the quotation. So quotation will be generated, and this quotation we can send it to the customer via the email. Once it's approved by the customer, we can confirm and convert this quotation to sales order. Now system will generate the project based on your configuration, and all the task is assigned to the responsible person based on our template. Here we have generated this, all are the task is there. We can start one by one all the execution of the task. As soon as we convert the milestone also generated, you can update all this milestone as per your requirement. Like here we have the different milestones is available related to the installation services, material procurement, 10% installation completion. Then we can review the payment based on our completion of the work. Now here when we review the delivery also generated for the material which we already mentioned under our quotation. Here once the sales order is generated, we can review the contract. You can also create the contract based on this. We have also available the contract options where you can create the contract. We have the under the sales contracts. If your project is related to the contract base, so you can create separately in the system the contract and you can link this contract on your invoice. Like here we have already created contract here for the few of the services. If it is related to the maintenance or installation services, you can also create the contract in the system. Contract details are there, plant details you can enter over there, liability and indemnity clauses, insurance requirement if anything is there, maintenance repair responsibilities you can mention over there, termination of the conditions, security deposit if any deposits are there, internal notes you can enter over there, and also signature. This can be also add in the system. This contract can be accessible from the portal and then customer can approve and sign via the portal. This option is also available. Now here once the contract is generated, you can also mark it active. You can send by the email to the customer once it's agree with all the terms and conditions, and they can also review and then sign. Now here it will be added on the chapter for history. Once it's expired, it will be automatically turned to expired soon stages. Once it's expired, near to expire, it will be under the expired soon. Once expired, it will be expired, and once it's cancelled, it will be cancelled. All the stages is already available. Now here after the contract we will see how the job cost sheet will be updated and then the job order how it will be executed. Let's go to the project and we'll review the execution of the task, how it will work. We have already sales order is available. Based on the sales order we created the project. We'll go to the project and we'll review all the tasks over there. We have already available the project here. We'll review all the tasks which is assigned under this project. We already assigned different tasks to the different departments and all. Now here if any of the task which is related to the installation services, let's take the example of the installation services. If during this services any material is planned, we can also enter here all the planned material related to this job. Now here based on this material planning you can create the material requisitions. When we create the material requisitions, here we have two options are available. Existing requisitions, we can add this product or create a new requisition. When we select here existing requisitions, we can review it here. Already available the existing requisitions will be added over there. Now here if I create the new requisitions, it will also create the new requisitions. We already created the requisitions request. Here on the top we can see here is the purchase requisitions. Request is already available. We'll review it from here. As well we have also material requisitions. If we created from this material planning, it will be added over here. So we can review this one. This is the material requisition is available where the person will request for the material, department manager will approve it, and as well as the once it's approved it will be submitted to the store responsible person. Once it is submitted to the store manager, he will review it. If material is already available, it will be issued from the internal picking from the warehouse or from the different sites. If it is not available, it can be create the purchase order. As well, you can enter the multiple vendors for the RFQ. Based on the purchase order selection, you can generate the RFQ. Whoever is giving you the best price, you can confirm that vendor. Once it's done, you can also create the picking and purchase order based on your material request. We have also, if you received, it will be turned to received stage. Now here, let's see material request already available, the separate menu where you can also access all the material requisitions from the requisitions menu. We have the separate module where you can see all the purchase request. If person is or employee, if they request for any of the material, they have to create the purchase requisitions from here. Now let's go back to the job order. We have also here timesheets. To execute this installation services, all the timesheets from the different department or the employee, they can also create under the job 136. So it will be linked to your task. Here all the task is available. We are also linking here with our job cost centers, job cost lines we can link here. So it will be also reflected on our job cost sheets. Now available here, if any of the additional material is mentioned over here and we need to add under the cost sheets, so in this case also the option available, create edit cost sheets, you can update the already created cost sheets with the additional materials. Now here also we have options available. If any incidents created or incident happened during the execution of the task, so in this case you can create the incident. Here options is there, create incident, and then we can create the risk incident. Like here we have the employee health issue, we can enter here incident photo, now here we can also upload the photos of the incident, and that can be possible, and you can create the incident in the system. So it will be also linked with all the incident issues or risk issues. So under the risk register you can even add the more details here. If during the any task any risk is happen related to the land environment approval delay, safety risk, or water supply leakage, or any of the disruption of the services, you can also create the under the risk register, and you can add here different risk type also. During the execution of this task, if any of the equipment is used, you can create the equipment also here. Available, create maintenance request. With this option we can create the maintenance request from the job order itself. Once the execution of the job is done, we can also convert this to final handover. We have the different stages of the task is available. We can move to the next stage. As well, you can also mark it done. As soon as I mark it done, it will be available on my milestone to issue the invoice. You can create the invoice based on your milestone. Now here, once the job order is done, we already review here material planning also done. Under this material planning, the different material request is done. Here we have also the purchase requisitions. Let's go to the purchase requisitions. For this purchase requisition, we created few of the purchase orders. You already reviewed here the purchase order. Under the purchase order, we need to be linked here the job cost sheets with the purchase order, and automatically when I upload the bill, it will be also set the job cost sheets reference on the vendor bill. Here we can review it here. Already the job cost sheets reference is there, as well as the line is linked over here. When we review our job cost sheets, which is already linked with the different services, then we can see how actual will be reflected on my cost sheets. Let's go back to the cost sheets. We have the job cost sheets. Here 20 number, silver tender costing. Here we will review it here, our actuals, and then the our plant quantity. Here we have the plant quantity and here we have the actual purchases. If we book the vendor bill in the system, then we can see also the vendor bill quantity also updated. It will help us to review our planning and then our actual one. If you require to create the budget and you need to add the budgeted also based on this plant actual, so in this case we have already option available. You can create the budgets from the job cost sheets. Here we have two options available, based on cost sheets or based on cost lines. If project is based on cost sheets, then by default on the top level project will be set on budget. If your selection is based on cost lines, then each line you need to select the project. Now here we have already the cost sheets is available and create the budget options available. We'll review it here. We have, if budget is already generated, we can review the budget on the smart button. So already budget is created here. We can review it here. The project will by default our silver contracting company project. Here we can see the material, labor and overhead cost types as well as the job cost sheets link also available with each the lines. It's there. Now here we have the product as well as we have the budgeted amount and then the committed amount. Automatically committed is coming from our PO, which we already created in the system. And also job cost sheets reference is available on the budget. So this is working with very nicely with all the details. You can create the budget directly from the cost sheets. You can also create the revised budget. You can also review the budget report from the budget. The same budget will be available under the accounting. So account department can review the budget. Now the change order option is available, smart button. From here we can create the change order. This change order will create first. We need to add the guarantor 1, guarantor 2. All the change order lines will be there. Electrical connection labor, we require the more 12 hours labor. So in this case we create the change order. It will not update our existing contract, but it will create the additional sales order or quotation for this. Once we agree with the change order, then it will also create the quotation for the same changes, and then we can convert this quotation to the sales order and it will be added over here. Now here, if any of the compliances is there, so you can also create the compliance under the legal. We have the separate menu legal where you can create the inspection compliance. Also here you can create the compliances. All the regulations are added over here. Permits can be generated from the system. We will review one of the permits which is generated from the system. If it is related to the project base, you can also add here. If it is electrical load upgrade, we can enter the permit details here. Permit type will be installation or ducting or pressure testing. We can enter all the permit issues. We can enter here, and then the issue date, expiration, all details will be added over there. Based on this permit, once it is generated, we can add to the inspection. So generate the certificate. We can enter the certificate number, issue by, and then start date, end date. So you can also generate the certificate and also you can print it the certificates. We have also inspection report is available. Once we create the generate the certificate also available, like here I entered the issued by. We can enter here silver contracting company. Let's add start date, end date. We can also enter over here if we have some start date, end date, and then permit. So we can enter the permit also and create. So in this case it will generate. Here is the license certificates. Mark it active. Once it is expired, it will be near to expire, it will be change the status will be expire soon. Once expired, it will be automatically moved to the expired. So certificates as well as the licenses you can generate from the system and it will be available. We have also the configuration related to the compliances is available. Now we'll go to the next section. To the order, we can also create the invoice based on our order. There is the option available regular invoice and down payment. Now here it is depend on your requirement. If you have any payment linked to the IPC, you can also create the IPC, or you can directly create the invoice. I will create directly the invoice for my delivered quantity, then it will be generate the invoice based on my quantity delivered. Here we can review it, already available the invoice. You can also add over here, as well as we have the progress billing details will be available here. If any retention is there, we can also add the retention over there. Now here you can review the progress billing details. If any previous invoices are generated, you can see the previous invoices detail as well as the previous other details will be linked over there. If any contract is there which is linked with our existing invoice, we can also link the contract over there. So invoice, once it is confirmed, you can also create the payment directly from the invoice. It will be work smoothly in the unified manner. Let's review the project. When we go to the project, on the top we have the project available here 77. We can review the project dashboard. Also available the options here, project dashboard, where we can review all the details of the project. Like here we have the MEP installation task, how much time sheets are there which is filled under this project, extra time if it is spent over there, if any pickings are there, stock moves. We can also see all the stock items by locations, by category, as well as the sales order. One is the change order, one is the main sales order. There is a sales order lines also available in invoices which is created for this project. We can review all the vendor bills for this project. If any of the purchases are done, it will be also available on the project dashboard, and here all the milestones are there. As soon as we change the milestone, we can also create the invoice based on the milestone. We have the stock receipts also available here, stock deliveries we can review it here, stock internals. If any internal pickings are created, it will be available over there. We can review here the requisitions. If any internal request for the material is done, it will be also visible on the project dashboard. Here we can review it. Same job costing details, material, labor and overhead is available on the project dashboard itself. Down you can review the budget also. Here is the forecast, here is the actual, and here is the differences. You can review your budget directly from the project dashboard. So all details are already available and visible clearly for the accounting department. When you are managing the multiple projects, it will be easy to review it via the projects portal. You can review the customer portal by login. We can view my account. From here the customer can also view the repair request, as well as they can also create the job order, and then if require any repair, they can also make the repair request. Now here we have also other options available where we can review the BOQ. The customer can accept the BOQ via the portal. This is the portal where they can sign and accept. Now it will be also saved over there on the back end. Other details which is available on the portal, we have also IPC available where they can review the IPC which is related to the payment. If any task is there or project, it will also review from the portal. All the project will be available related to this customer. We have the Joel Willis right now. This customer, the project is Delta Corporate Park. We can review all the tasks which is assigned to this customer. Thank you. If you are interested in more detailed demo including data entry, you can contact us. We will arrange session for you. Thank you very much.